It's a privilege and honor for me to welcome somebody whom I have been following and looking up as an inspiration. Uh, let's welcome Dr. Manjula Pooja Shroff, and I believe she doesn't require any introduction in the education fraternity or in the business fraternity today. She is a very highly accomplished MD and CEO of Calorex Group, and she runs a chain of fantastic schools which are not only creating ripples in the education fraternity, but her selfless, dedicated work in the field of education has, you know, she has won a lot of laurel scholastic victories, particularly with, getting a prestigious President Award on Secular India. And at the same time, she has been nominated and she has been a winner of numerous awards as Woman of the Year by the American Bibliography Society of North Carolina. And I still remember my days of staying in near to Ken and Flegger Business School in North Carolina. And she has been an absolute voracious reader, but at the same time, her book has captivated the imagination of so many readers across the globe, be it a parent, be it a child, be it a teacher, be it any educator. And her book, that is Baby Steps to Big Dreams, is the number one book in the Amazon's best author shelf, if I can say. And it will remain incomplete if I don't mention that Dr. Manjula's book has been launched in the United Nations. My goodness. And I'm sure her introduction will keep on going till the cows come home. But I welcome you, Manjula. Thanks a lot for doing this podcast with me. So, Manjula, I will start with the first question, which after going through, certain amazing experience of your book. So, according to you, Dr. Manjula, what are the cornerstones of effective parenting in the 21st century?
Thank you, Surajit. Thank you so much for having me here. It's my utmost pleasure. Thank you for all those kind things that you said about me. We've worked very hard, but every time somebody validates the work we do, it only inspires us to do more, right? Because education is such a fundamental tool for shaping society that everything that we do is not sufficient. And in that whole space, what you're doing yourself is fantastic, because it's important that education be treated in a structured manner, just like any other business house, because the management principles bring about efficiency and productivity, and management principles have to be applied everywhere. And so thank you so much, and compliments to the good work that you are doing for SchoolforAll. And so that's why it's exciting. The next 1 hour is going to be great. Thank you for this opportunity, and for all the listeners who are going to tune in, whether it's live or later. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you for recognizing our work. And if you can join the journey as we take it forward, it'll only mean that we create a better society for the future generations. With that, let me come to the question that you asked. And yes, Surajit, please call me Manjula. Okay? So yeah, let me see. If you were to ask my perspective of what is the cornerstone of parenting, I think I'd say that parenting is a natural instinct. All of us have been parented, and we believe that we can make natural parents. But, and that's where I think we may go a little bit wrong. The other thing that parenting is, because when you look at the definition of parenting, it's about providing protection and care and rearing children, right? So it's also a very protective instinct. It's about holding on to your children, protecting your children from failure, from fear, from all the negativities, anxiety, stress, everything that we think is not good for them. And I think in there lies the challenge, because overprotection can actually stifle the child's growth. So to me, the two things that we believed from the past, that parenting is a natural instinct and that parenting is a protective instinct today stands at a crossroad. And we really, really need to relook at it from where we are standing from the future with the AI advent. So I think that we really need to relook at the whole situation between a parent and child.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's so incredible that on effective parenting, I think it's not only a school principal or a teacher or a school owner, but I think it's such a universal concept that you have mentioned. And I would like to recollect this were my last word of my father on his deathbed back in Bangalore during my IM Calcutta days when he said that Surojit, 95% people know that they are born, and 5% people know why they are born. So I think once Manjula, your why is clear, that you've really created a blueprint for every parents to understand the value of effective parenting. Manjula, my next question to you would be: help us to demystify the transformative period in a parent-child relationship.
Srujit, since you brought up this whole conversation that, and I'm sorry to hear about your loss, about your father in the deathbed saying that 95% of the people are born, but only 5% know why. I have to take it from there because I wear two hats. I'm an educationist who works in the mainstream education, but I'm also a soul coach. And we'll go there some other time. But I have to say this, that unless parents understand that the child chose to be their child, and the child has an individual journey of his or her own, we'll have to stop treating children as our possession. मेरा बच्चा है, मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ. So I think the basic understanding says, everywhere I go in India talking about parenting, I actually sometimes ask this question: are you alive to the conversation that the child is an individual soul with an individual journey? And therefore, having understood that, I leave it at that because that's a longer spiritual DNA chromosome based conversation, and I jump immediately to the environmental factors. Let's just look at the environment in where the child is born. And so I think the parents need to truly get this, that it's not a one size fits all. Ye nahi hai that, I understand I'm a role model, so I'll do this. It's none of those typecast things anymore. Parenting has to first understand the developmental stages of a child. The needs that the child has in the womb to the child has as an infant, or a toddler, or a preschooler, or a primary schooler, or a middle schooler, or a senior schooler is very different. And so the parent needs to understand the developmental science, which is both chemistry and biology, and of course, psychology. Because in this, there's emotion, there's social, my God, we say that they're riding 7 horses in one. So unless the parent understands all of these development stages and responds to the necessity, responds to the need of that stage, I think we'll go wrong. And therefore the book is divided into developmental stages and talks about strategies from the womb to teenage years based on whatever is required at that particular phase of the child.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Honestly, I think I'm getting to get my PhD done again, and so inspiring your research that you have done. You're not talking about the best practice of parenting, Manjula. You're talking about the next practice of parenting, and that really inspires me to not only listen to you, but at the same time, I can see these valuable points, if can be shared with people at all the strata. I think they will be more successful, FUL, not FOOL, right? So we'll move on to the next question, Manjula. Is can we consider your book to be taken as a blueprint or as a parental guide to effective parenting on a practical user manual? Because I have seen in my a short journey, Manjula, is like people who preach, they don't practice, and people who practice, they don't preach. So can we consider your book as one of the testament, one of the gospel truth of effective parenting, which can be taken forward as a ready reference for any child when getting into a typical situation, where maybe the parents have their own domestic fighting going on, and the child is left all alone. Can he or she is empowered from your practical manual book or book, what do you call, translated into a practical guide for a child or maybe for a parent, maybe a single mother or a single father. So what do you have to say for that?
So Surajit, gospel truth to shayad nahi bolungi because it's a very tall statement.
Mhm.
But let me tell you how the book got done. It's
Mhm.
based on 25 years of our research.
Mhm.
It's a ground up book.
Mhm.
It's a book written by our counselors and mental health workers.
Mhm.
It contains real life scenarios. It contains situational analysis. It contains case studies. Of course, we've changed the names for confidentiality because that's a statutory requirement. But it's a real time book. It's not written without scientific facts. It's not written without surveys. It's not written without data. If anything, it is so grounded in data analysis and research.
Right.
And I think that is the USP of the book because it talks about real time stuff that goes on inside classrooms. And these are teachers that, can you imagine a teacher who teaches about 40, 50 children in a year, in 25 years, how much experience they gather? Can you also realize the diversity of case studies that they get? So the book is so rich. So because the book is so rich, I think it's gathering some momentum. It's also very well timed because with AI, children are not growing up in our homes. They're growing up on the internet. And they are native to the internet, and the parents' generation is not. So the parents are at sea. And I think the book came at a time where there was a real need. And therefore, there is stuff that we talk in the book, and I have to share my personal experience. It was not easy when I was putting the book together because, hum school wale hain, right? And we've been managing schools for like decades. And so if there is ever a case, let's take a drug abuse case. If there is drug abuse case, everybody's fingers, society, parents, press, statutory bodies, fingers first point to the school, saying school mein ye sab hota hai. So when I was putting together case studies, I had to break the glass ceiling myself, saying, yeah, I'm going to put all of this out, but people may just end up blaming us. But when I saw the risks that teenagers and preteens were going through, they're not just risks. We've seen deaths happening. It was time to shatter the glass ceiling and saying, no matter what, we have to reach out and talk. Unless parents get this, unless teachers get this, because teachers are almost like second parents, we cannot save children. We need to bring up children for the sake of life and not marks. Children need to know that life is beyond marks. Children need to know that life is to thrive. Life is to be beautiful and there has to be self-care, there has to be self-love. So all of this, hopefully the book has developmental sciences, is pitched at different classrooms. So yes, if a class teacher or a parent picks up the book, they can carry the book from the womb till the teenager. I've ensured that they have enough strategies. I've ensured that, it's not even sequential. आपके घर में अगर एक primary school का बच्चा है, like a fourth grader, pick up the book, pick up that one chapter, read it. Apply those strategies. Put away the book. Wait till they become preteens. So yeah, I've tried to build a manual that can help a parent for at least 15, 16 years.
Brilliant, Manjula. And I'm reflecting on so many things when we talk about the learning curve, when a child goes through a permanent experience, concrete experience, reflective thinking, abstract thinking, and then they finally come to active learning. So brilliant. I think what you're adding, a new way of thinking. I think it's beyond the lateral thinking. Brilliant. I'm so really. I can connect to the real-time scenarios that you put in your book as I was going through it a couple of days back. We move on to the next question, Manjula. Is there a possibility where this book can be taught not only for school children but also for university grads. And I would take it forward to Dr. Biswajit, the Global Training Head of CBSE, and can it be a part of 30 credit hours of learning, not only for schools, but also for universities? Because in the name of life skills, nothing is being really given to them as a possible takeaway. The value proposition is so negligible. So how can it help university students? Because beyond the teenage, beyond the puberty, there are a lot of challenges. Particularly, I can talk about today. A lot of young generation, they don't want to join their parents' business, right? They want to start something, and the parents wants to create a bond, and they would like the children to join their family business and build it to the next level. So, can your book also help as a part of the university curriculum? Let's say family business would be a curriculum that can be taught, having the effective strategies through your book to both the generation, the parent and the university grad. Over to you, Manjula.
Answers a resounding yes. And I'm going to explain to you why. Think about when the information technology came into our lives, right? I mean, it was mainframes and all of that, right? And look at the growth of information technology. From IoT of things to wearable technologies to medical sciences. So technology has continuously evolved, changing the direction and challenging humankind. All right? I don't know if you're aware that last year we did this experiment and created Maya. Maya is my clone and avatar, my AI clone and avatar. And I'll tell you the thought behind that. The thought was very simple, that technological advancements happen in business, right? Traditionally, all research work and all developmental work should have happened in education spaces. But for some reason, education has lost that. And so today we stand at a crossroad where we are saying that industry is 4.0, but education is possibly 2.0.
Right.
And if education is feeding industry with, skill sets, how is the twain going to meet? So, we took up this experiment as school people, saying that, everybody's talking AI. Let's see what we can do. And over a summer project, with the help of some interns from IIT Gandhinagar, we created a clone. I'm not a technology person. I don't, my internal team of professionals are not AI experts. All we had is a vision, some skill sets, put together, rehashed it, learned on the process, iterated it. We did version 0, version 1, 1.1, all of that, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is this, that with education and industry not meeting, the gap is only widening, right? Education needs to catch up. In order to catch up, we can only improve if our capability set, which is the college students, are enhanced. It is unfortunate that the college students who kind of, get placements in places like Wipro or TCS have to go through 6 months of further training before they're industry ready or work ready. That talks very poorly about the education itself. Yes. So yes, gone are those days where we could teach skills. Today we have to teach mindsets. Because these kids are going to be competing with robots in the future. And when they compete with robots, and that Elon Musk has already made his first experiment of chip embedment in the human mind, which is already successful. So the kids are going to be competing at a workspace with robots. So we can't teach them skills anymore. We can only teach them a mindset to keep improving, to go to the next mile, to do problem solving, to do creativity, to do innovation. And that all of that comes from understanding yourself, letting go of all the baggage that you carry. We are so caught up in small things that we miss the entire bus.
So beautifully articulated, Anjula. I think you are India's answer to the Johari windows of the world, and I think you've given a really an amazing perspective to people. Be it working professional, be it any human being. I think as a human resource, are we really translating ourselves to more human enhancement or human remains? So that's amazing. So it takes me to a next fundamental question when I was reflecting yesterday evening that how this book can really troubleshoot, mitigate a lot of challenges that people, as you rightly mentioned, that people are caught up with small things and they miss the beautiful bus in the process. My next question to you, Manjula, would be: is there a possibility uh, that this book, you know, uh, will will definitely impact a larger section of the people. Their appetite has gone very high. They're looking for a repository source of information in the form of your book, which can be a hands-on solution handbook for them. But I would like to understand what are the top three areas that your book is going to impact. I'm sure with its utmost pure creativity, when you really conceptualize the idea of writing a book, you never thought of a particular target audience, or back we study about having a particular segment of what are what are three core areas that your book going forward in the 21st century is going to impact the society in three major ways? Yeah.
If I get one impact, Surajit, I'll think that my book has made a mark. And the impact is this one. And it's so fundamental that I don't need any other impacts. I've already said to you, I built a certain context saying that technology has continuously evolved. AI is standing at the doorstep and will continue to evolve. If anybody is not evolving, it's the human being. If anything, we are regressing. And if this book can take the humankind from version 1 to version 2, I think my job is done. Or at least initiate dialogues. I mean, like I said, it's not a Bible. It's not the last word. It cannot be, right? It's just such a enriching science that it cannot be. But if it can create dialogues saying, are we creating a better human race? Right. That can stand up for everything. Today, children are dying, are hanging themselves from the ceiling if they don't get marks. Good Lord, where have we lost the plot? Right. How come we've not told our children what it takes to get a human life? Even the gods envy the human race. Where have we not been able to explain our children this, that they take the lives for not getting marks? So if it creates dialogues, if it questions, if it helps children understand the value of life, if it makes the human race, takes them to the next better version of themselves, I think that I have contributed. So I don't need three impacts, Surajit. I need just one impact. Can we take the human race to the next better version of themselves?
Listening to you is giving me a lot of goosebumps, and I think you're so clear in your thoughts, Manjula. It's like, even having so many options of three impact, but you choose only one. That talks about your rational mind. It's not about taking a convenient decision. It's about taking a short-term pain, but a lifelong gain, rather than having a short-term gain and lifelong pain. And that can really help us to save a lot of children who have come onto the crossroad, or they have come to a point of no return. So I think nobody's really addressing these core issues, and I think you being an educator, and I think people are just creating more taxpayers or creating guinea pigs for the Ivy League colleges. I'm sorry to use this word, but that's how, because education is all about character building, good citizen building, and man making. So great, there is a saying that you might be the most expensive mobile phone, but if you don't have a charger, you become a scrap of metal. And your book is going to be the charger for
I
each
love
and
the
every one.
synchronicity. I love the synchronicity. One of the best compliments that I just got from one of my team members when he was introducing me to somebody else was like, she's a charger. I love the synchronicity. Thank you for saying that.
Most welcome, Manjula. So now going to the next, question. And I'm really nervous asking you questions because I'm still an amateur at getting into a podcast. But yes, I'm trying to be as dry honest as possible, and that's what my mother has always taught me, that in Kali Yuga, your thoughts, your words, and your action has to be in perfect alignment. So I'm trying my best to extract or to imbibe as much of wealth of wisdom and knowledge that you have got, and share it to the world like a sandalwood, spreading fragrance. So Manjula, my next question would be, this book is not a book. It's not even a testament. It is something which is going to pave the path of truth for every reader to revisit their journey, and to take and to use a power of choice. Maybe right, convenient. It's up to their wisdom. Now, how this book teaching and learning can really impact the policymakers, right, who are the custodians of designing curriculum at the national level, right? Because so much of effort I can see, Manjula, you have put in this book, churning out, be it survey, be it taking interviews, sending questionnaires to people. So how it can impact the national policymakers in designing and devising the next curriculum beyond the chalk and talk.
So I'm glad you asked this question because policy writing is not new to me. I've been writing white papers on policy for policy since 2014, or maybe 16. So the vocationalization of school education was a paper that I wrote.
Mhm.
And I was so happy that the topic found place in NEP. For the simple reason that, I did a comparison between countries. I studied the education system of China, of course, because they have the largest number of skill programs.
Right.
Swiss, Australia,
Right.
USA, and UK.
Right.
I studied all of these systems and made a presentation saying, unless we have skills in schools, we truly get left behind. India has an ancient richness when it comes to knowledge. But somewhere along the way, we were possibly not keeping up.
Right.
And so I've written a paper on vocationalization. When the NEP came, there is a chapter 8 called Triple Essay, which is essentially about how the school standards should be monitored. I wrote a whole, white paper on that. I wrote a white paper on, what's happening in quota. It's very close to my heart. Good students go to quota, and it just so pains me that a brilliant child loses their life for such a menial reason. So I wrote a whole paper on how we need to control this menace. So paper writing for policy is something that I've been doing because I realize exactly what you're saying, Surajit, that I can't be an island of excellence. I need to be part of what makes the impact, and that is policy. And let me now go to the next level of policy. So policies get written. The NEP document is a very rich document. The new NCF document is equally rich. But you know what? Like the rest of the world, the gap is in the implementation. So I realized with all my policy writing that if I don't work on implementation, I am not joining the dots. And so the very first thing that we did with my team, I don't know if you can see this, this is the NEP implementation strategy booklet. I sat down with a bunch of principals who are really the decision makers of schools. And I said, here is a document, which is a policy paper, which is very well written. But unless you use it on the ground, it'll be just another paper to be archived. And we got out a strategy paper report, which we're going to send out to every state, anybody who wants it, right? And this can become like a minimum benchmark for practicing NEP. With this learning, I realized that ये तो ठीक है कि मैं जाके पॉलिसी मेकर्स को बोलूं कि यार लेट्स हैव अ प्रोग्राम एंड कोई मान भी जाए एंड देन व्हाट when I wrote the book, and I'm very grateful that it hit whatever number and all of that in Amazon, it's only a validation that the content of the book is very relevant. I mean, it's not a literary piece of art, let me very honestly tell you. I don't even consider myself an author. It's an extension of my work. It's an extension of the passion that I carry for children. And so I started to go out. I mean, I must have done 30 cities already, talking to practitioners, parents, students, and actually driving home points. Because if even 10% of the people that I'm talking to get inspired and do two things, I'll change society. If it comes top down as a policy and nobody does anything, I mean, it has to be both. It's neither either or. So I'm trying to do both, Surajit. If I've answered your question, I'm trying my best to do both.
Absolutely. Manjula, I can understand the level of aura and energy that you're carrying. You have shared your thoughts. I think the best definition what I can get, having this conversation with you about success is not about how much of money, how much of wealth, and how much of repertoire you create in the process, but due to you, how many people's life could be, more dignified? How many people's life could be much better off than what it is today? I think that is a huge impact, Manjula.
And that's another synchronicity right there. Because I just read a quote which I so, sometimes you know stuff, but when somebody says it very lucidly, it just falls in place in terms of perspective. And I read a quote that made a distinction between what is growth, what is progress, and what is success. And it said that when you're making materialistic goals and you from 5, you're growing your company from 5 crore to 10 crore to 50 crore to 100 crore to 500 crore, reaching the Forbes list and etc., it's growth. When growth is coupled with ethics, with transparency, with discipline, growth with ethics is called progress. It's still not success. But when you have growth and progress and add to it humanity, add to it society impact, add to it spirituality, you're getting closer to success. And I thought it was so beautifully put. So another synchronicity. Kudos to you. You're doing so well.
Long way to go, Manjula. And I think, growth with fulfillment, growth with work ethics, right? It's amazing. I think these are areas which I think, it's beyond the spiritual discourse, and it's a way of life. And I'm so blessed, and so I can resonate what you're saying. And this is where, because success without fulfillment, success without ethics, as you very rightly mentioned, it will be a very phony success or very empty success. Brilliant. My goodness, I've lost my next questions. I'm so so engrossed in the way, because your every word is a figment of imagination, and it's all about visualize, verbalize, and vitalize. So that's the 3 V's going forward. Okay, Manjula. So next question is, which I was looking forward, because this is going to really open the Pandora box about you. But you have been always an open book. I can see you sharing. I think to a great extent you follow the Buddha philosophy of sharing your knowledge, unlike a Shaolin monk, who only teaches who comes to Shaolin monastery in China. So, Manjula, who has been your greatest inspiration to write this book, and what were the challenges you faced while putting your pure thoughts into successive chapters?
So
I'll simplify it with 2 questions.
Yes.
So I'll first address you with the first question, Manjula. Who has been your greatest inspiration to write this book?
The children. the children who are today lost because we as adults are not doing our job. Whoever we are, we may be parents, teachers, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, whoever we are not catching up to the changing times. And that is why it's creating extra pressure on children. So the children themselves, I've never known another inspiration since the day I became an educationist. To me, everything starts and ends with children. So the children themselves have been my inspiration because I realized that unless parents and educators work together in a school environment, we can't do a holistic development, 360 development for children. We cannot do it. It's a huge gap. And therefore a parenting book. So yeah, it's an easy answer. For me, it's always been all children, end of the way. Starting point, middle point, ending point, everywhere children. Right. To the extent that when I sit in policy decisions in my own organization, and we are making, say, policies, I'm always pro-student. If children are saying, if the faculty is saying that, children are doing this and they're challenging us, and I'm like, so great, take the challenge. Let's beat them as their game. But you cannot stop children from being creatively naughty. Let them do their stuff. We'll do our stuff. I'm always sitting, whether it's discipline boards, whether it is whatever policies we're writing, I always have a pro-student stand.
That's incredible, Manjula, and so pure to hear it from you. So, what were the challenges or the occupational hazard? Because you manage a chain of so many schools. How do you balance between your personal life, professional life, family life, and spiritual life to an extent? So, I know it's like as Stephen Hawking says that we cannot manage time because time is standing still. Time doesn't come and go. We come and we go away. So, it would be a very futile effort to manage time. But how do you balance these four lives: personal, professional, family, and spiritual life?
I'll come to that. I'll come to that 4 lives later. Let me handle the easier one, which is how to do a book. Yeah. Let me tell you, book writing is not easy. So when this whole concept came about writing a book, simply because I was like, it's time to talk. It all was easy with the fact that we've had documented stuff. So material tha. It would be very difficult to create this level of rich material, which is real material. So material tha. And then giving it a shape, reading what's available, looking at formats, all of that, right? And you rightly said that I'm an operating CEO, right? So I have my timelines, my calendars is defined by somebody else, right? I am just rather robotic about it, right? So I would have to show up at wherever they want me to show up. So a lot of my writing has been done on flights. A lot of my writing has been done on weekends. And a lot of my writing has been done at 3 a.m. I've understood the 3 a.m. club so well because of the book, I can't tell you. And I would be doing like 18 hours, 20 hours, because I knew that during a working week, I may not find time. That there was a time I had to wear a shoulder strap because I was like hunched over a laptop for like 20 hours, 25 hours, saying that, oh, I've got this no blocks, I've got this sudden highway thought, let me just finish whatever I can. So it's not been easy. It's not been easy. There's another part of a book that is even more challenging, is the iterative process. Reading the book again and again and again and again to ensure that there is sufficient, that it's come across the way you are coming across, to ensure that it's error-free. That iteration is so difficult. I have to say, hats off to the authors who do a single, if the one-man army. I have a team of people. I have an editorial team, I have a design team, and then there's the publications editorial team. There are people who are reading, and then it took so much energy from me. So book writing is not easy. But I've also learned that your thoughts can live after you if you write a book. The book can create impact. The book can create ripples. I mean, you know that I've been working in this industry for so long. But the book sort of gave me a credibility, saying, oh, she knows her stuff. So a book can give you many, many returns. But if you're a working professional like me, then I think you have to midnight oil, kya? You burn all the oil.
Right. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And I'm so glad, that you are so thrilled and excited in your journey in helping others, in creating, in simplifying their life. And, so that's incredible, incredible.
Now let me come to the second part of your question, which is the full life.
Yes. I was coming to that. Yeah.
I have only one life, and that is a spiritual life. Everything else revolves around that. I have no doubt about it. It is in that spiritual life that I have a context called a career and a family. It is in that spiritual life that I have a context called I have a passion and a purpose. It is in that context of a spiritual life that I know that life is a journey of celebrations. It is in that context as a spiritual being, I know that this life is transient. It is in that context as a spiritual being, I know where the real work has to happen. It is that being that defines me. And I'll tell you, your life always prepares you for who you are. The book before this was an autobiography, a friend that had written on me, and there's a chapter which a lot of people didn't know, that I lost a lot of my loved ones at a very early age. And it came as a shocker even to the people who worked with me for like 2 decades. Because people somehow thought that, she's born with a silver spoon and she's had it all easygoing and all of that. So when they read about all of that, they were like, oh my God, is this true? So in your 20s, Surojit, when you're confronted by repeated deaths, so, I'm talking my father, my mother, my brother, my chacha, my chachi, my bua, my nani with who I grew up, everybody, you start to understand death. And very early in my life, I found my purpose. And that is to understand life, because the destination is death. And education became the means, and I was caught up in this traditional method of education for a very, very long time. And so today I wear 2 hats. One, that of a mainstream educationist, and second one, that of a soul coach, who I really am, because I know the purpose of a spiritual being.
That's very powerful. I'm sure, this live podcast, and as it goes as a recorded version to, if not to zillions of people, I'm sure they would be able to relate. And I believe, Manjula, when people ask me, Surojit, what is the secret of success? I said, I'm yet to taste that, but I enjoy this journey. So when I lost my dad and when I lost my younger brother, I believe, success is when you have good enough money and time to postpone death for your near and dear ones. That could be one of the epitome of success, right? Success could be when you ensure that your son and daughter doesn't make a resume. That is a success, right? So anyway, I'll keep my thoughts reserved to myself and let it go as a stream of time. And what you're saying is, I can resonate, because almost 8 to 12 years I've spent in Bhutan, and they believe in reincarnation. So I can totally resonate. We move on to the next part. Is now there are a lot of young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. There are a lot of retired principals. There are a lot of homemakers who will be watching this, uh, you know, your journey very closely, Manjula, and somewhere few things might be holding them back in order to, you had all the right reason to, raise up like a phoenix bird from the ashes, right? But what word of wisdom would you like to share with those working professional mothers, retired principals? At certain point of time, they were so important, but now it's like they're at the back burner, right? So, your piece of advice or wisdom for all of them to come out of their mediocrity and excel the way you have excelled in your life. I know it
So
was.
I would like to say two things. First, I would like to say thank you for all that you've contributed to make this society which we are taking forward from you. That's one. The second thing I'd like to say is age is a number. Why should you retire? I would directly like to address you and say that we need you. Society needs you. Society needs your rich experience. So please return to work. Today, returning to work is easier than ever. The internet has made small businesses, cloud businesses, so easy that you can coach, you can cook, you can sew, you can, as an SEW, okay, not SUE, you can sew, you can sell online. It's made it so easy that I'd rather they didn't sit home, because work is an expression of you. And one must work till the last day. Why hang up your boots? I've never really understood the word retirement. So my request to all those people who are so enlightened by now with rich experience is please come back. More now than ever, because one, it's easy to come back, and two, with the change, how fast society is changing, and that we may be living in Mars soon, we really need you. We need you to create the human version 2.0.
Brilliant, Manjula, and so thoughtful, and it's so much of food for thought. Today it's very much required, and with so much of stress, so much of unreasonable expectation, and at times overtaxing yourself. So we'll move to the next segment, and this is something. Yeah. Now, Manjula, now you see that the society is changing. There has been core revolution, be it from the automotive to hardware to software. Now we are into an e-commerce revolution, and this is my personal question to you, from an entrepreneurship perspective, right? Where there are two sides of the same coin. Somebody where they expect, getting investment, getting investors to scale up their business, and there are somebody people like me, me and my mother. We are trying to build School for All at a frugal cost, at a bootstrap, so that we believe there is no free lunch, and we have to pay a price. And so, my humble question to you is: so, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs of irrespective of their age? That what is the right work ethics they should follow? Uh, One ethics which I can talk about, we strongly follow at School for All, is let's not exploit people to build the business. Let's build people to build the business. So, your word of advice and wisdom to all the global entrepreneurs, irrespective of their geolocation.
Wonderful, right? I'm an entrepreneur. So that answer is like, let me try and answer it from when I was starting out. So as an entrepreneur, you will stand alone. As an entrepreneur, your thoughts and your passion will be challenged. And the first thing that an entrepreneur needs is perseverance. I'm not saying be inflexible, but I'm like, don't give up your idea or your passion. That's the first thing I'd say to any entrepreneur. The second thing that I'm going to say to entrepreneurs is that life is going to throw anything and everything at you. So adapt, right? It's very easy to slip into the victim mode, bichari and all of that stuff. I mean, life is never fair. So just adapt and move on, right? Number 3, while you're being a true professional, learn the value of vulnerability. We as human beings are vulnerable, and it's beautiful. We hurt. It's what you do with the hurt that is more important than not hurting. So every time that human beings come down, it's about that whole process of healing and letting go to convert your pain to power. What you've done, Surjit, you've converted your pain to power. So those are human resilience. And if we don't have resilience, the difference between animal kind and humankind is intellect. And you rightly said that I, like Buddha, I'm like spreading knowledge, whether people care to listen or not. I'm hoping, I always say this to my team. The stuff that I'm doing, the spiritual work that I'm doing is not everybody's cup of tea. Your dad rightly said that only 5% of the society will get it. I'm working for that 5% of society, not for the 95% of society. For the 95% of society, I am doing traditional education. For the 5% of society, I'm doing what it takes. And that's my fulfillment. So coming back to animal kingdom and humankind, the difference between animal kind and humankind is intellect, chintan and manan. अगर हम हर स्टेप में चिंतन and मनन करके नेक्स्ट स्टेप तक नहीं जा रहे, फिर तो we are breathing, eating, sleeping, biological needs like animals. And in no place you have the full freedom to grow as an entrepreneur. Because आप अगर किसी और के लिए काम करते हैं, there is another culture, there is another value system, there is another set of goals that you're chasing. But as an entrepreneur, you can create your own. Let it matter, man. Take it to the last mile.
So I used to think that I only believe I'm the only lone individual on this planet to believe this. 5 amazing things that I've learned, Manjula, from you today. I think no Harvards of the world or the Kellogg's of the world can really coach us. Neither the Marshall Goldsmith of the world. I religiously follow Tony Robbins, and I think there is a huge space and vacuum of people like you who doesn't give empty motivation, but who has gone through so much of pain and have come to a level of spreading smiles from coastline to coastline with abundance. The first thing that I've learned from you is not to give up, and it reminds me of the famous statement I just came across a couple of days back, Manjula, while doing research about you, was you throw me to the wolves and I will ensure that I come back leading the pack. So the second thing what you said has really touched my soul. That was about perseverance. So you will have more setbacks, and when the pain increases, that means one need to ensure that you are at the right path. The third thing which you have taught me today, it's tremendous, is that success will never go to majority; it will only go to minority, right? Be it the Parsi communities or the Sindhi communities. I think they are Indian answers to the Jews of the world. I think 20% of people creating 80% of success, and breaking the ceiling of what the Rockefeller Foundation conspiracy theory talks about. The fourth thing which I was very nervous to absorb it, but I really salute Manjula, your indomitable spirit when you say that as an entrepreneur you have to be vulnerable, and that goes as a value. My goodness, it's such a strong and a shivering statement. It's like me standing in front of a barbaric crowd and trying, and there could be a possible mayhem, and you're saying that okay, if there are people who comes to hit you below the belt and still create a value out of it. And I used to understand value as an entrepreneur, INTRE, back in my 16 years of my career in the IT industry, where like chasing somebody else's dream, and today trying to see the invisible with all the set of human values. And the fifth one, you really inspired me to write a book now. I've got three titles, and maybe I can always take some wisdom, some idea. So one book which really inspired me, I would like to write it for all the CEOs who are busy for nothing. And I think what you gave an amazing thing, that be busy for yourself. So I think you are a living testimony of being a CBO, Chief Belief Officer, not CEO. So that is a title which I see, the amazing belief system that you percolate to your team. And team is nothing but a reflection of the leader. The second thing, what I have learned, apart from the fifth point, sorry, the grocery list is endless, is, enjoy your journey as well. And I was thinking to ask you, what's your menu for breakfast? Because, I'm sure if I interact with you in the morning or in the evening, you carry the same enigma, same charisma that you carry forward. That is phenomenal. No school can teach you that. And I think your Nani has been, and your parents still, I think, as a spirit, they are there around you and guiding you. And I think, Manjula, you'll be doing a great disservice to this country by not helping the education system to create 10 more replicas of yours. I totally believe in genetic diversity, but we don't have role models. And this is what I've put to all my 19 CEOs who are on the board of advisors of School for All, people like Mr. Amitabh Roy, people like Avnish Savarwal, the current MD of Accenture India. So I just tell them that, sir, why is it that 100 years of school education, we are not able to produce one extra Swami Vivekananda, one extra Ratan Tata? Like, we talk about the world GDP, but it's important we are able to create more replicas of them. So Manjula, I'm lost. I think giving you a thank you would be a very understatement. But I would like to learn from you, after you have gone through School for All, a little bit of work that me and my mother have been doing for the last 5 years, reaching out to 1,500 plus schools, Pan Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, bring a few more addition to it. With 289 universities, 52 startup companies. Hopefully, 2 of them are going to be unicorn by 2027. And 19 CEOs, we traveled together to Galgotia University, did a 5 days of workshop on OBE, outcome-based education. But what I've learned in this 40-45 minutes of session is much beyond what we think we have arrived. But I think that is a starting point. So your inspiration to what we are doing, that will really motivate us to do much more than similar to what you're doing. Over to you, Manjula.
So I want to start at the parenting level.
Yeah.
I want to comment first on this mother-son duo. It is the best example of adaptive learning. Adaptive learning is going to be a skill that we're going to need in the future, because the future is uncertain. It's a VUCA world. So we have to keep adapting to the needs. You have transited, a mother-son, it is a beautiful relationship, right? The mother-son, and Freud talks about it and all of that. Redefining a relationship which is somebody tells and the other listens, to one of partnership, is the biggest form of adaptive relationship. So I have to start there saying that the fact that you've been able to redefine your relationship, you don't know that you've understood adaptive learning at its very core. And that's going to take you miles ahead of others who do not understand adaptive learning. To me, I'm a fundamentalist. I work at the being space. Who you are is what you will do. So I can see that you will be adaptable and flexible and move with the times. And that itself is success guaranteed, right? If you're moving with the current, you'll go. If you're standing, the current will break you. So to me, that is one of the things that I'm going to say, that you have the DNA. Your relationship, your work relationships have the DNA to take it forward. 2, I am so glad you're in the space of education, because we need to, like I already used the word structure, we need education to think professionally. जो कि पहले नहीं होता था. Are you talking? You're on mute. Sujit, are you talking or on mute?
No, absolutely fine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we need professionalism in the space. It cannot be a mom and a pop shop. It cannot be a trusty run thingy. All of that, I mean, not that they don't have their values, but I think that we need to take it for scalability. It has to play by the management rules. And I'm a management student, you're a management student. We know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm glad that you're adding that value because it's a very critical value to the space. How to's are more important than the what's. And you're in that how to space. And more power to you guys. I hope you reach the universe. I hope you add value to education. Like I said, it's the end all of everything. Starting and ending point is education. So good luck with everything that you're doing. And it has been such a pleasure. I cannot even begin to tell you. Although you said at some point that you didn't know how you're doing in this podcast because, I think you used the word nervous. Let me say the word vulnerable. Vulnerable is beautiful. It's about what you do with it. And I think that you've done tremendously well. I think you've connected at a human level with me, which is so good because it inspired me to give the right answers. It inspired right to care. It inspired me to give inspiring answers. Because you connected, you touched the right spot. Yeah, and that is what matters. That is what matters. I mean, we came together this 1 hour. Hopefully, we'll take it to the right audience. The right people will hear it and make an impact. Remember, we are working for the 5 and 7% of the population who will understand the real context. The rest of them hear it, great.
So first of all, I think Manjula, it's been an incredible. I don't see it's just a conversation. I think it's a reflection of so many things. It's also about trying to calm down the turbulence in terms of growth, in terms of development. I think it was so amazing to be a part of the journey that you have taken from nowhere to somewhere, and still you are being so humble. And I think you have reached an impeccable height of, echelon of success. And I think the word has to be reinvented to really describe my emotions right now in terms of listening to you and how it is going to impact the 5% or 10% of the people who are going to transform and create a paradigm shift in both in terms of education philosophy or be it in terms of education thought leadership. And I'm sure the world is going to be a better place for everybody, if they can carry the same aura, the same energy level that you've got, and help them to make a transition from a life of mere survival to life of significance. 3-book title, which I'm taking it on record from here, listening and learning from you. One is, What the Hell Am I Doing? So this would be the book for all the CEOs where they are lost in the crossroad, and I'm privileged to be a part of their journey as well. Second book, which I feel is The Journey from Human Remains to Human Relationship. That would be a book which I feel should enlighten a lot of HR people, human resource professionals whom they call themselves. All right. And the third book is The Pain and Pleasure of Brotherhood. So these are after I lost my young brother. And I believe there is a reincarnation, and we should not cry about it. Rather, we should celebrate. I think in Buddha philosophy, they say we should celebrate because they are going for higher purpose in the ether world. And as of now, this is what you really inspired me. Every day I'll write one chapter and mail it to you, and let's see if it can, with your guidance, it can really bring a lot of smiles and a lot of happiness to people's life. And I would like to quote the last statement of John Lennon. So John was asked, Manjula, by his class teacher, that John, what do you want to do when you grow up in life? And John said, I want to be happy. And the teacher said, John, you never understood my question, or you never understood the assignment. And John comes with a befitting reply, Manjula, saying, you never understood what life is. And I think you have been a living legend of spreading happiness. So Thank you so much, Manjula, for this wonderful, wonderful interaction that I had with you. So much of things to learn. Any day, I would be more happy to learn from you rather than learning from professors of their flashy designation and big words. I think you are somebody whom every boy and a girl at their at the early stage of their life, I think they are going to uh, self guide themselves with the thought process that you have developed for them. Such a wonderful creation you have done through your book, and may it reach to the hearts and imagination of everybody. And we look forward. School for All would look forward to ensure that we spread your happiness, your repository of knowledge to each and every people that we come across. Thank you, Manjula, for this
Thank you
lovely
so much.
discussion. And
Thank you.
God give you more good health, more good energy, and you keep on inspiring everybody that you come across.
God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Manjula. And
Thank you.
thank you so much, Sudeshna ji, for joining. I think she's one of the principal.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Would you like to
Thank
share,
you so much.
Sudeshna ji? You'd like to share?
Means so many things. I'm speechless, really speechless. But means few of all the things that you have mentioned, going back to our parents, how they live the life, and which is to be brought to the young generation is very much needed. Because as I had been working with school for 27 years, I found that the children basically are lagging behind the love and care which is needed. It's not the money, it's not the things, but the exact love or the care which is needed for their brain development is missing. They are not given the opportunity to express themselves, what they wish to and what they like. Even their likings are being suppressed, for which the children are suffering a lot. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Surajit sir, for connecting me to Manjula ma'am. And really, I'm coming on to tears.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely, ma'am. And I think we should wish all the best to Manjula for taking so much of endeavor to take it forward. Manjula, uh, I'm just a call away. Let us know once you're comfortable. And I think we'll look forward that this conversation, which we have encapsulated, reaches to the minds and hearts of everybody. Right? We will ensure.
Right? Bye-bye now.
Absolutely. Yeah, have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you, ma'am.